What's going on, and why is this so difficult to get across the line?
Yeah, Jonathan, I mean, this is the 28-point plan that really arrived kind of like a bombshell here in Brussels over the last sort of 24 hours when we actually got all of the 28 points spelled out by the Trump administration. The starting line, the beginning point of the negotiation between Ukraine and Russia has landed very, very poorly indeed for the Ukrainians and for Brussels. And as a consequence of that, now European leaders are reacting to it. We've just had a meeting between the UK, France, Germany, and Ukraine, and they have rejected. And rejected is a sort of strong term. We should say they've rejected parts of it, but that's really, they've gone very diplomatically with this, saying that they really agree with the United States in their diplomatic efforts. They would like to see this advance further, but they want certain things to be sort of red lines. And one of those things is that the line of contact to serve as the starting point for any understanding that the Ukrainian armed forces remain capable of effectively defending Ukraine's sovereignty. That is a quote from the Germans after that call from those four leaders, and they are reacting to points 21 and point 6 of the Trump plan, the first of which would basically now donate the rest of the Donbass region that is not fully controlled by Russia to Russia in this agreement as it is envisioned by the Trump administration. And of course, the second point there, point 6, is that the Ukrainian military would be capped at 600,000 personnel, which is a meaningful reduction in the number of forces that the Ukrainians have right now. And that is sort of the Ukrainian side of this conversation. But Jonathan, I think where European leaders are going to react in a much more sort of aggressive way, in a much more startled way, is there's a lot of these things within these points, within points 3, 7, 8, that put restrictions not just on the future of Ukraine, but what the NATO organization is allowed to do, whether or not NATO is allowed to deploy troops within Ukraine in the future, whether or not NATO is able to consider adding Ukraine to its numbers in the future. And in fact, one of the points here on point 3 is that says that NATO will not expand any further. And from the European perspective, and Jonathan, we've talked about this since the very beginning of the Trump administration and their negotiations on Ukraine, the Europeans are not at the table when it comes to ending this war in Ukraine. And increasingly, they do not seem to be at the table in creating the future architecture for security in Europe beyond Ukraine.